Today on the Situation Room, or for this next bit, we would examine that very thin line, as I said before, that exists between public duty and political loyalty. And then we would ask, where exactly should Nigeria draw the line? My guest is Honorable Tokwe Abdulrazak Balogun, public affairs commentator, AA Lagos State governorship candidate for the 2023 general election. He joins us via the phone as we get into this discourse. Good evening, sir. Thank you so much for being here.
Good evening, good evening, Sage, for having me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure. So I want us to start like this before we delve into the more specific issue. Let's have a conversation. I usually say this thing that something being legal does not ultimately make it in the way we navigate that situation. Do you think that perhaps in Nigeria, because the law says it, because the constitution supports it, because the Electoral Act supports it, that every lacuna that exists between the law should be exploited?
You may not call something lacuna, and you may not say the law supports it or it's morally unjustified. Because at the end of the day, some of these realities we have to look into and face. And I think we want to talk about already members of political party ahead of becoming whatever. So I believe where the moral line should be done is when somebody is a civil servant that is supposed to be neutral, working for Nigeria without a political interest agenda at hand. When such person is now drawn into being politically biased in making any decision or in having some actions done, then we can now call him morally bankrupt, and we can now look at that from the lens of a lacuna being exploited. But in this instance, many of these people are primarily members of their political party. They were employed by the president and that political party to come and support their own agenda. So if the party calls, they still have to go back. And that is why sometimes I always laugh that although we are misapplying in African setting, we are misapplying that it cannot be overlooked, because the incumbent has access to the state percentage of government that somebody that is not on that seat will not have access to. So that automatically gives the person some edge far above other contestants that are out of government. So automatically they have access to information in real time. They have access to the real information, not what we get on the media or what we get in their ballot box. So these are some of the differences. So with that, they can take a better decision, they can make better plan ahead, and they can exploit the situation better. And that is why you cannot take them off their political party. In the past, if not for the way the political system today, possibly the way we are practicing, and we are sure ever is going to be representing their interests in government. In fact, there are the situation where head of political party will ask head of government to resign. What do you say about that? So it is you can't separate them. They are mutually inclusive. Right. And you can't blame them for having that opportunity. And that is why anybody that is an opposition, we have to struggle more. We have to do more in terms of campaign, and we have to be more strategic for it. So for me, you can't ask them not to go and work for their party, but then it doesn't really count if we have an opposition that is more strategic. So they are not really exploiting the lacuna. They are working for their party as well as working. So where we may have issue is when somebody that is working, where corruption is established, then it can be taken to questioning. Then the issue of, let me give you an example, the issue of CBN governor. A CBN governor is not necessarily answerable to a political party. So if a CBN governor is not into such things, you can now ask questions. But when I check those things, they are very much, but I sat down when the list was released, and I even saw heads of churches, heads of mosque. So it doesn't count that automatically they are going to take all their congregations.
Pardon me.
Only you can vote for that.
All right, pardon me, Honorable. First, we're not blaming them at all. And the general question of exploitation of lacunas in the law was not necessarily about these individuals. I was speaking on a general context. But let's actually let's talk about these individuals. Zach Adedeji, for one, chairman of the Nigeria Revenue Service. He's the deputy director for fundraising. We also have Dr. Bisoye Koka, who is the director general of National Identity Management Commission. That's the NIMC. Now, these individuals have direct access to information, they have access to fund, and because this advantage that they have, access to information, access to funds, among other things, will not now be used to the advantage of the incumbents, thereby putting the opposition or the electorate at a disadvantage. That is a concern. Is that concern valid? And do you understand why the electorate are afraid?
Well, the concern is not valid for me as at a level of exposure. Is not very, very valid, because the truth is, like I said, the definition of power of incumbency is that they have access. The president can call the DSS to provide information. So you see, what I even think is even giving us the opportunity now is because the list was released and we were able to even see their names on those things, because they have that power. They can call for those things. They have their people on it, and that is why many politicians. I'm a politician, and I can tell you, many politicians want to fix his person. They are elated, and they can use that to get their data right and present their facts when they are talking. In the days of another media company, that media company acts mostly like whistleblower. And whenever it releases any information, at the end of the day, you will see that the information is right. Are you telling me the media has a spiritual power to get those documents published? No.
But fixing a person in a national structure for your own political advantage, is that appropriate?
Very, very appropriate if you are to face reality. You see, the only thing you cannot do is when you are making others pay for having the opportunity. Why? What do I mean? If our data, which they have access to, is now being used against us as Nigerians, like they have our data, they are now trying to breach our data and using it against us for their political, for our money that we are talking about. If they deep hand in Nigeria's money, we can go to court, we can call them out and actually protest. But here, the only thing that finance man can do at most is to have access to those that they can approach for funding, and which you cannot take from them. These are realities that I want Nigerians to look at if they want to face reality. Where the opposition, in fact, it's one of those things that we should use against them as opportunity that incumbents make. It's an opportunity for oppositions to bounce upon or climb upon, to make decisions for themselves that will be to their own advantage. But the truth is, whether they have access to this, they have it. You can't tell me. Even governors have access to a level of information that another in Nigeria will not have access to. And you cannot tell him not to have access. And you cannot tell me if he has a stake in the political situation, he should not have the information. He should not use the information he has. So these are things you can. That's why we have people that are explanations. Why? What are the work of explanations? What are the work of neo-colonialists? People that already they are supporting their paymasters abroad. What do you think they do when they get into? Do not sit down and allow them to use those things against them. That should work harder to push them out. We have the opportunity to do that. By January, we'll be having another vote. I personally want this government to be out, and it is because of its economic policy that is not working for the common man. Anything else, I don't know. What I know is that the economic policy, I still called my spouse and told her that, can you imagine somebody asking me for as little as 1,500 naira to feed his family? How far can 1,000 naira feed, 1,500 naira feed a family or three? That's very, very ridiculous. But it has been as bad as that. And these are people that are ordinarily modest. But what do we do? It is because of policies. It is not because Nigeria is so poor. It is not because Nigeria does not have the economic resources to turn things around, but because people at the end of are inept. Their level of ineptitude is what we are facing as a people. So if they are making the mistake of publishing the names of people we don't even expect them to publish, ordinarily me as a politician, I will not support them to publish. But if we are talking about what those people are going to do for their political party, forget it. They are going to do more. They are not even on that, and they are already mixing themselves up as fifth columnists in different political parties to do the same work. Some of these people we are saying are going to do, and what is that? To make sure their candidate emerge in January as the next president again. And some of us are like, no, this person is not doing the bid of the common man.
In a situation, Honorable, in a situation where it's not even about money changing hand, right? What happens when political loyalty influences professional advice? For instance, a senior economic official believes that a government policy is damaging, but that person administration that have appointed me, doesn't that create a conflict of interest? Look at Senator Aduningi now. I mean, he was suspended multiple times because he went against the recommendations at the Senate. So what happens then when you cannot do your job because you're scared that the person that has appointed you has an upper hand over you?
Because those people are not morally upright. It is an honorable thing for them to be so resign. Resignation by a top government official is an indictment on that government, and that is what honorable people do. When you listen to people resigning and see reasons why they resign, you see that those people are corrupt, and because you don't want them to be prosecuted, they now give them soft language that you go and resign, and that does not really add value to what the Nigerian masses, their own principle and their own standards. Then we can now give it all to them, and that is how you can now extract information from them to now tackle the government in the real sense of it. But many of them, I don't know, it's all about the money. They are not really professional in the real sense of it. They are too luxurious. When you are too luxurious, you go for everything. You don't want to speak the truth. Then some of us that are not really so luxurious, we are going to go far politically. We are going to go far to support the common man interest. I remember what Babajakonde taught us while I was with him under his tutelage for 3 years. At a point when we asked a question about how he was able to do so many things he did, where kids were not living with their parents when they are getting into early adulthood, they were having opportunity to succeed. He said just two things. He said the first thing is willpower. You want to really do those things, even with other resources. You have the willpower, you want to do it. The second thing is contentment. When you are contented, that if you are not contented, immediately you get to that it. When they open the vault of money coming in from multiple streams of, you have multiple streams of income coming into the government, you will lose focus and you will not be able to do what you are supposed to do. You want to even die there. When you have people talking about third term agenda, fourth term agenda, and the like, because they are too luxurious. They are not really having normal human being sense. Like somebody says, have you ever seen a madman not speaking anything with desires for speech? The madman will pick something that is useful for him, and he will pick up many things that are not even useful to him. If you look at the media, you see them excavating money that are frauding. You know, some of them are even forgetting about many of the things they stole all around, and they kept all around the world, because they are not patriotic in the sense. They don't have the and from the days of Babajakonde that he was alive, that he taught us that some of us that we are having that had the opportunity of learning under him, we took that to ourselves, and we are what we are today. We became less luxurious. We just do our regular thing. Whatever comes out of it, we are contented, and we are pushing to get into power in any manner. We want to get into power that is legal, and have that willpower of what we are telling people we want to do.
All right, we will get to that part.
Good governance and bad
Issue, right? We want to focus on public duty and political interest. So we're able to establish that these officials that are often caught in that web, who exactly are they serving, or what purpose are they serving, right? I want us to establish the implications of not thickening that line between political affiliation and public duty, and how supporting a political party should not suspend your sense of neutrality and morality. Let's talk about specific institutions now. Maybe that would help us a little bit more. INEC, for example, social media, we've seen them wearing the customized shirt, and we know that this individual works for the electoral body. So why can't that same principle apply of institutional neutrality? Why can't it apply to revenue agencies, the budget office, the police, other institutions? Lateef Fagbemi, for example, is on that council. If the nation's chief legal officer is simultaneously working for the electoral success of a governing party, so how do we trust that when legal disputes with the government happen, that individual is able to review the situation with a political...
They are mutually inclusive. You can't take one away from each other, the person's personality. That's the person's personality. The person cannot not ordinarily become what he has become without the belonging to that political party. Talk about him not protecting the interest of that political party. The political party is there to serve our general interest.
Right.
So if the political party is not having our general interest, Nigerians have the right to vote them, the electorate, to now vote them out. When we now vote them out, we can now challenge whatever thing they have done that is against the interest of common man. Look at Malami. Malami was a member of APC at a point. And today Malami is being embarrassed because of his iniquities that were unnecessary, and he was found guilty at various instances at the court of law. So there will be a point. So if we are able to vote them out, whatever we think against anybody can be used against them with concrete facts and the like. Then when you talk about people becoming whatever, we are seeing them campaign, that is the problem of the common man. Because judiciary arm has not been so strict with interpretation of whatever law has been made. Now we are talking about INEC chairman as a point campaigning for INEC.
No, that's not. I didn't say that the INEC chairman is campaigning. I said if we saw an INEC official campaigning, we would raise eyebrows.
Anybody that is an INEC that office, the process of getting that office said it lies with the president of the nation, and the president of the nation was not given any framework to choose the person that is going to head the place. If the framework has been, if at any point somebody that is going to be choosing is having this issue, we should not choose him. Is having this issue, we should not choose him. But that is not stated. Check and make a call. When the EFCC versus Osun State, even though it was not right, even though telling them to stop the Kenyan guy was very okay, but was that protest very okay? How can the president instructed command them to go and do things they are supposed to undo officially? They are supposed to have a protest. If they have done something wrong officially, they are supposed to have a protest to undo it. Not the president coming out and using it to score a cheap point for himself. That have called the FCC chairman. Then it is easy to call because the institution is not having the independence it's supposed to have. That will be loyal to Nigerian cause, not to an individual. If an individual employs somebody to head somewhere, one good turns, we definitely deserve another. So that is where the judiciary should be coming up. Judiciary should be coming up when people take all some of these things to court. They should now rule against them. They should make something very difficult. Sharia might not be elected, so there's nothing to fear. Nobody is going to vote them out, because the truth is, many of these politicians know the truth. Because for the fear of they are going to vote me up, the fear of my party is not going to give me return ticket, the fear of I'm going to be prosecuted by the oligarchs that have given me the opportunity, they are going to come in the players. So they have to play along and reduce their duties over the years. But now look at how they are playing with them now. We cannot see it. So that is where the problem is going to be solved. If not, you can't blame somebody that's a member of a political party for participating in electing themselves into power. You can't say that. Even if you are like you now, as you are working with your company, you form committee for your company want to form committee for your MD to emerge as the head of all the media team in Nigeria. You are not going to exonerate yourself from them, even though you are a member of a national body, an executive of a national body. You still want to do the right thing for your chairman to emerge, because that is your preference and that is what will retain you in your own position. So they are, as they find themselves, which they did not actually come by fiat. It was a process, and some people that...
You've established that a lot of these times these individuals cannot portray neutrality because it's self-preservation. They know that if I speak against this policy, if I speak against this arrangement, even though I don't necessarily support it, my job is at risk. So if we were to prefer a solution to this problem, what would severing that link entail? If we were to establish neutrality, what would be the first thing that we would do? I mean, for able to do their job without fear that they will be denied opportunity for speaking the truth.
That is where the strong distinction I'm talking about. Where the judiciary is well established, if they are prosecuted unnecessarily, unjustifiably, they cannot seek redress in the court of law, and the court is going to reinstate them. And have you not seen any pronouncement the court has made that some people should be reinstated? And people, they did not obey the court of law, and nothing happened. So these are the problem and join the opposition. You see what is happening to Verify. The science started talking against them. He was in the and now he's where he is. So many people don't want to go and think that lifestyle will be long gone. So it's not something that is easy. It's not something that people are not going to pressure you from outside, from your own family members and other places. You see a lady that resigned from contesting presidency recently in one party, I think GLA or whatever. I saw it on the news. She quoted that her family member because of the insecurity arrangement around contesting at that level, she should resign. So these are issues that the judiciary can handle, not an individual judicial system as they created for. Then you won't have any issue or any fear. Saying the truth to power. Saying truth to power is something that is honorable and something that must be pursued with that intent. This is what happens elsewhere in internal crimes.
Thank you very much, Honorable Tope Abdulrazak Balogun. He is a public commentator, AA Lagos State governorship candidate for the 2023 Nigeria general election. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you so much, sir, for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Spoke about the fuel subsidy removal and reversal debate. Is it an economic necessity? Can we afford it? Is it putting ourselves in fiscal danger? Is it just a 2027 campaign promises? Our analyst, Somi Oranta, who spoke to us earlier, said that if we are to remove the corruption, if we can fix our refinery, if we do the right things, we wouldn't even need to be paying subsidy for anything. The Nigerian people will be able to afford it. Their income will be able to cater to whatever the price of PMS. The earning power is severely diminished. So if you forget about subsidy for now, put system in place to improve the earning power of people, or allow for the currency to have value as it used to have. Whether or not you put subsidy on these things, it would not really bother the people because they can afford it. That's his understanding. What are your thoughts? Do you align yourself with that, or do you think because of the reality of the Nigerian system at this time, perhaps we should consider bringing back the subsidy, the model as recommended by former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, or perhaps we should keep it removed and all the revenue we get, we should use it to fix other sectors of the economy whilst actively going after those who had bastardized the system as recommended by Omoyele Sowore. Then we had another conversation with Honorable Tope where we spoke about public duty and political interest. Who does the official serve? And I was asking questions around how is it, or how do we ensure that individuals who are serving in public spaces or who hold public authority, how is it that we're sure that they're not using the advantage that their position provides for them to aid the political ambition of whatever party they belong to? How is it that we can ensure that these individuals do not lose themselves and start to use their office to intimidate the electorate or give undue advantage to the party that they support? The law does not say that because you hold certain public office, you cannot function within your political party. I think the only thing that's there is if you want to run for an elective position and you are an appointee, you have to resign from that appointed position before you can pursue your elective ambitions. Or if you have party affiliations, you really cannot function within institutions like INEC, for example. But history tells us a story of certain individuals who have very publicly announced that they are card-carrying members of political parties, and they're serving in one capacity or the other, either ad hoc staff, I really don't know, in one way or the other, they're serving in one capacity or the other within the electoral umpire. Would you believe that an individual that has publicly campaigned for a political party would be able to employ the sense of neutrality when executing his duties? Can you trust that an individual in charge of national finances will know where to stop and not dip his hands in national resources to aid his political parties? Can you trust that an individual who has access to personal data of people would know when to shut the door and not provide information to the political party that they support? Can we trust that this is possible? How do we remove the fear factor where they say if I don't do what they want, they would remove me? How do we sever that link? That's the question we're asking. 09136000 410. WhatsApp is 09136000 430. We're streaming live on Facebook and YouTube at Mainland 98.3 FM. Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, good evening to you.
My name is Peter.
You might need to call us back. Your connection is terrible, sir.
Hello? Hello?
You might need to call us back. I apologize. Your connection is really bad. Please call back if you have a chance to.
I'm hearing you clearly.
I'm really, really sorry. Maybe change your position or something, please. Thank you. Hello. Hello. Is this an internal issue? I have no idea. Hello.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening to you.
This is Mr. James.
Welcome.
I've been listening to all the discussions so far. So you see, one of the major factors that have been making all these things happening is the institutional mess we have. So I believe the only way to curb most of these discrepancies, this many confusion, and all these up and downs, all these whatever shenanigans that we are covering in every section of this government, and even before this government came on board, was the issue of institutional problems. Okay, take for instance this issue of climate. Even aside from this man, someone has already openly, a campaign for the party, maybe the time passed. What about if the person had not campaigned, but the man that employed him happened to still be the same? You must be loyal to someone who gave you the opportunity to serve. And that was why I could still remember even the 2023 election. Someone said that even the people that belong to the people that people that are loyal to the current administration happen to be the one that recommended the past INEC to Buhari. So you find out that in as much that someone did you a favor, they must return that favor. That is what is happening. So until we rectify all this institutional, maze, and that is really when we start having things in proper perspective.
Thank you.